Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Yeah. Now, as you all know, we are working our way backward through the alphabet, and we're on Sibelius. We're still on Sibelius. So we have a big stack of stuff to go through, including this pile. Now, this pile, as you can tell from the spines that they're Bis CDs. You know how elegant and wonderful Bis was? I mean, they just did black. You could always find a Bis CD in your collection because it was the one with the black. I mean, it was just so simple and elegant and intelligent. Anyway, this is the Sibelius Symphony Cycle that's in the big edition. It's the Vänskä Lahti Symphony Cycle. Now, I saw them do all these live in Helsinki. They do a beautiful job with these. It's a wonderful, wonderful cycle. And you get Kullervo, which is fabulous, this performance of Kullervo. It really is, with the incredibly slow Kullervo's Youth second movement, really hypnotic and gripping. And Tapiola's on here too. And you also get the original version of the Fifth Symphony with on Saga in its original 1892 version, which is like a little bit longer than the later one. And you have in here also the original version of the Fifth Symphony in this recycled when they did the whole symphony cycle. So you get like some duplication in here, but it's a beautiful cycle. And, you know, Vänskä, as you know, remade the Sibelius symphonies with the Minnesota Orchestra, and it sucked. It was awful. It was terrible. It was totally unnecessary. It won all kinds of awards like Grammys in the U.S., which you know means it's worthless. And really a pity, because that's the good one. And he should have known better. He really should have. So then we've got Karajan's early Sibelius, some of it, and some later Sibelius, right? Symphonies 5, 76, 7, and Tapiola in mono with the Philharmonia. And Symphonies 4, 5, and Finlandia in mono with the Philharmonia. And yes, and Symphonies 2 and 5 in stereo with the Philharmonia. These were a little bit later. And his Symphony number 2, let me see here, 61, yeah. His Symphony number 2 is just as dull as it always was. 15-minute finale. Oh, God, I mean, at least when Bernstein did something slow and distended, it was usually the slow movement. This is awful. But the others are really good, by the way. I mean, this is part of that EMI Karajan edition, which has been reissued a few hundred times since. He was always a really fine Sibelius conductor, except for the finale of the second. I don't know what went wrong there, but something did. But otherwise, it's beautiful and wonderful to listen to, and rather similar to his later versions, except for the sixth, where he successively sped up, it seems. Or at least his last version was lickety-split. Now we have, what's this? Tone Poems with Malcolm Sargent and Tauno Hannekainen. Yeah, you've got Finlandia on Song of the Swan of Tonella, Karelia, Sweet Pocula's Daughter, with the Vienna Phil, believe it or not, the BBC Symphony and Malcolm Sargent, and then Symphonies 5 and 2 with the Symphonia of London and Hannekainen. Now the symphonies are pretty good. The tone poems aren't bad either. The sound is a little dated. They're a little scruffy here and there, but I got this because, it was unusual. It wasn't the same old, and now it's in the Overflow room where it belongs. Sibelius Symphonies 4 and 6, Chamber Orchestra of Europe with Berglund. This is part of his new Sibelius cycle, his third one, which is in the Berglund Sibelius box, and we can talk about it a little bit more there. Hyper-detailed performances, and as usual with the sixth, he takes the finale, which is molto allegro, very slowly. I've never figured that out. But the other things are lovely, and some of the string playing is amazing. Oh, look, here's more. This is 2 discs, Symphony 1, 3, and 2 in that cycle. And this one must be the end of it, Symphonies 5 and 7. Indeed it is. We're going to talk about that more. This was a cycle that Berglund did because he said he really wanted to hear all of the details of the string parts. And that's what you do. I mean, they're very transparent performances, but of a very stylized and specific type. And we can leave it at that. This thing is Sibelius. On Ondine with Soili Isakowski and Jaakko Kortekangas and Segerstam, and this is all kinds of weird stuff. The cantata for the conferment ceremony of 1894, world premiere recording. Of course, Bis remade it for their cycle. The Academic March, the Andante Festivo, Coronation Cantata, and Finlandia, whatever, the underwater version or something like that. It's on Ondine. It's very nice. 2 chamber works. Now these are fun pieces. You've got the Voss's Intime string quartet, his late string quartet, with the Gabrielli string quartet, and his piano quintet in G minor, which is an early work, but it's a big work in 5 movements, similar to the string quartet, which is in 5 movements. A very serious and fascinating piece that sounds nothing like later Sibelius. So that's rather cool. And then we have this sucker, Ilya Gringolts, with the Göteborg's Symphoniker under Nimi Järvi, Prokofiev Violin Concerto number 1, and Sibelius Humoresques, well, 4 of them, numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6, for violin and orchestra, and the Violin Concerto. I mean, Gringolts is another amazing violinist, and so many people that do these pieces so well, and this is fun. It's actually fun. The Gothenburg Symphony Orchestra, which is Göteborg's in Spanish or whatever. And then we've got the Kurt Sanderling Sibelius cycle, which we have talked about many times, most recently in the Nordic Symphonies box on Brilliant Classics. But this is the original Berlin Classics issue of said cycle. It's really good in the dark and creepy things like the 4th Symphony, as we've mentioned many, many times over. You also get on Saga, Finlandia, and Night Ride and Sunrise. You need more bass drum in on Saga, for heaven's sake, and more timpani in the 1st Symphony. But it's a very good cycle by and large, different from what you usually hear. And like with everything Sanderling did, very, very serious, a little heavy sometimes, but real musicianship and thought that went into this. So there you go, my friends. Another pile of Sibelius, endless piles of Sibelius. So we've got so much more to come. So keep on listening, friends, and thank you for joining me. Take care.